This presentation is based on the paper International Strategy from Local to Global and Beyond, published in the Journal of World Business in 2016. Internationalization has profound effects on the development of MNEs and global economy. Recently, the research on MNEs and their international strategies have burgeoned. The world business have changed dramatically in the past 50 years. 50 years ago, businesses were mostly localized, and later, with advances in communication and transportation, MNEs expanded their businesses globally and spurred intense competition and economic growth. While in early days only the large MNEs were capable of participating in international trade, recently the new ventures and born globals have become the players in the global economy. The business decisions, which were mostly located at MNE headquarters, are now increasingly localized. Not only they have localized most of their products, but also seek strategically important resources in host countries. 50 years back, the MNEs were primarily from developed countries, but now MNEs from emerging economies have become a powerful force. To survive in the increasingly competitive and complex international environment, MNEs respond with numerous strategies, and they have evolved over the years. As such, the objective of the paper is to review the development of international strategy research over the past 50 years. This paper uses a framework under which the presentation is also organized. Under the framework, the first area of research is international strategy, which mainly explores the research on advancement in international diversification and entry speed. The second area of research is cultural and formal institutional environment. The complexity, the cultural distance, and effects of institutional distance are explored here. The final area is research that examines exploitation and exploration of critical capabilities of MNEs. Exploration of new capabilities by MNEs and exploitation of parent ownership advantages are researched under this part. Under international diversification, the research shows that two perspectives are of in particular importance. Those are the cost of risk and benefit of risk. MNEs diversify the risk by investing in multiple host countries of varying economic cycles and market conditions. MNEs manage the risk exposure by proactively reconfiguring their portfolios of foreign subsidiaries. Based on benefit of risks, MNEs with higher international diversification have this ability to shift their operations across borders in response to changes in the environment. Implications of international diversification, however, reports mixed findings. The research shows that the relationship between international diversification and firm performance could be positive, negative, curvilinear, or there could be no relationship. Although the research suggests that international diversification affects several firm-level outcomes such as financial performance and innovation, the influence on these outcomes is affected by how it is implemented. Among the most important decisions are how to enter a particular market and the timing of entry. Entry mode is one of the most critical decisions for MNEs expanding overseas. The recent focus of research is mostly on the entry timing or the speed. Two close related issues of timing and speed are the time lag between the finding of the firm and its international expansion, The other one is the speed of a firm's subsequent international expansion. Learning and accumulation of experience is an important factor influencing the speed. Firm, industry, and country attributes mainly influence the time of entry. Various research have identified factors under each of them and how they influence the time and speed of internationalization. To better understand the liabilities of foreigners faced by MNEs, research has examined the institutional environment changes, both formal and informal, and the complexities. Institutions and their effects are complex. The effects of the home or the host country institutional environment on M&E strategies, such as which countries, markets to enter, and the mode of entry have been examined. Specific types of institutional environments offer better opportunities. M&Es have to conform to institutional environment of the host country. The government officials must attend to making their institutions attractive for inward FDI. Institutional duality is also an important factor, which means that each foreign subsidiary has to maintain legitimacy under two distinct sets of isomorphic pressure, one from the host country and one from the M&E parent. Research also explores how institutional reforms reflect a firm's strategies and outcomes. Research suggests that all firms do not benefit equally from institutional changes. Research suggests three avenues by which M&Es influence host country institutions. They are regulatory pressure effect, demonstration effect, and professionalization effect. The paper highlights outcomes of many research on institutional complexity, which arise from their multidimensionality, diversity, and polycentrism. Most recent research emphasizes on institutional variation within countries and across similar countries in a region. Research on effects of cultural distance reports mixed results. The paper highlights two main models under this and follow-up research on cultural distance. The Uppsala process model, developed by Johansson and Wall in 1977, showed the progressive expansion of firms in host countries with gradually increasing cultural differences. Later in 1988, based on the OLI framework, Dunning argues that greater cultural distance can motivate firms to engage in FDI in order to overcome transactional and market failures. Uppsala process model was challenged by the recent research on new ventures and small firms of emerging economies. Research suggests that the role of other factors counterbalance the pitfalls arising from cultural distance. For an example, one research suggests that the effect of cultural distance on cross-border acquisition performance depends on the level of international experience acquirers had gained. The award-winning article by Schenker in 2001 on cultural differences attributed at least part of the inconsistency in findings to the conceptual and methodological properties of cultural distance. He pointed out several mistaken assumptions behind cultural distance, including conceptual illusions of symmetry, stability, linearity, causality, and discordance, and methodological illusions of corporate homogeneity, spatial homogeneity, and equivalence. In summary, the effects of cultural distance are more complex than originally suggested. There appear to be a number of environmental and firm level contingencies that moderate the effects of cultural distance. The institutional distance refers to differences between the regulatory, cognitive, and normative institutions of countries. Institutional distance gives rise to two major types of costs. First is the unfamiliarity hazard, which is the cost arising from lack of information and knowledge of the host country. Second is the relational hazard, which is the difficulties arising in managing and monitoring subsidiaries due to distance. International strategy research has shifted its focus recently from exploitation of parent ownership to exploration for new capabilities in host countries. Firms entering new markets should have a good understanding about the requirements of the host country before they decide on what capabilities to be transferred. MNEs should also obtain new resources and develop new capabilities to survive in the competition. Research also highlights the increasing importance of reverse knowledge transfer. Research has produced mixed results on the effects of MNE's experience on control of their foreign subsidiaries. Importantly, the research highlights that firm experience can mitigate liabilities of foreigners and location-based disadvantages. The paper highlights future research avenues in two major areas. The first is the institutional complexity and business sustainability. The scholarly attention is needed to understand the causal relationship between different formal and informal institutions. Understanding the collective effects of formal institutions on M&E strategies is another research area. The other areas are co-evolution between M&Es and their institutional environments, sustainability of M&Es in specific institutional environments, effects of institutional shocks, and M&E responses which have not received sufficient research attention. The second area of future research is the newcomers, which are emerging economy firms and international new ventures. Specifically, exploring their internationalization strategies and outcomes, role of entrepreneurs, internationalization of virtual ventures, how they deal with institutional transitions and shocks, distinctive features and implications of internationalization of new ventures from emerging economies are some of the key areas that require future attention. In conclusion, the paper reviews the evolution of international business and advancement of international strategy research. The paper identifies the important progress made in international strategy research. It highlights the shift in research focus from entry modes to market entry timing and speed. It also considers capability exploitation and exploration research. The paper also identifies the emerging research themes. Finally, it provides a range of suggestions for future research. Based on the paper, a few important research areas can be suggested on Canadian MNEs and their international strategy. A review on evolution of the international strategy of Canadian MNEs is a good starting point. It is important to explore how Canadian MNEs contributed and responded to changes of international business. How the international strategy, complexity, cultural changes, capabilities have affected Canadian MNEs. What are the complexities, cultural and institutional factors affecting FDI inflow by foreign MNEs in Canada? What is the impact of emerging economies on Canadian MNEs? What implications these have on Canadian economy are some of the key research areas. And with this, I would like to end my presentation. Thank you.